On today's show, ESPN dropped a list of the top 100 NBA players. Dorian Finney-Smith was not on the list, and he should be. I'll explain to you why and more on today's Locked On Mavs. Let's go.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Hey, Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to comment anything below. Let us know. Should Dorian Finney-Smith have been ranked in the top 100 NBA players? If you agree with that, just put Doe Doe. Just put Doe Doe in the comment section. Comment Doe Doe. Joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor at Mavs.com, the Doe Doe Dude, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Guys, we are under a week from Media Day. First off, thanks for being back. We obviously took yesterday off.
Yeah.
Newsflash, we're taking tomorrow off. It's the last week, right?
Yeah.
We said Monday.
Yeah, no.
I was like, oh crap. Monday, Wednesday, Friday this week, because we're about to start this whole engine back up again.
Media Day is on Monday.
Year 6, baby. Year 6 of the pod. Season 6. Every day, Locked On Mavs. Guys, now's the time to be sharing our show, all right? We just passed, I'm going to project here real quick or guess. We just passed 17,000 subs.
Oh, we did.
Right?
We 100% did that. Yeah, that's no projection. CNN can confirm.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
But
let's bring out the map and talk about the different areas and counties.
But seriously, we launched this YouTube show last April.
Yeah.
And we just passed 17,000 subs. So thank you for sharing the show. Thank you for telling friends about it. Listening every day. Thank you to the loyal OGs that listen every day on audio in your cars on the way to work and all of that. But share the show this week. That's my challenge for you. If you're listening to this show, share it to somebody new and say, hey, Mavs season is about to start back up. Media Day's next week. You got to listen to this show. So there you go. That's your challenge for this week.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Jason. How you doing?
On today's show, we're going to get into ESPN's top 100 list. Now, we have a top 50 list from BetOnline that's going on at Locked On NBA. So if you want to check out a good list, you should go check out that one because that one is a little different than ESPN's. But we're going to break down ESPN's today because they ranked 100 best players. I think they have 100 through 25 released as of right now. They may have released another batch as you're listening to this, but they released their top 100. And I got a couple of questions about Dorian Finney-Smith, Christian Wood, Spencer Dinwiddie. They're all on the list, which is good. But Isaac and I each have a couple beefs. We got some beefs with this list because that's all lists are there for, right? That's all lists are there for, is you put out a list so that people have beef with it, so that people get upset, get up in arms, tweet about it. I was tweeting about it. You were tweeting about it. Everybody was tweeting about it today. Here's my first one, my first beef.
First off, do you like rankings like this? Because I
always get sucked in. I
know. I'm actually all here for them. They're like drugs. I can't get away from it.
Yeah, I always get sucked in.
If I see it come out, I'm like, I know something. I'm going to disagree with something. When you make a list like this, you know that people are going to disagree and the comments are going to blow up. But that's just part of it. So
these lists are like hot dogs at baseball games, or at any sporting event. You're like,
okay,
dude, I know what's in a hot dog. I don't want to eat that hot dog. Like, I know. And then you get one, put some mustard on it, maybe a little ketchup, whatever you feel like. You eat it and you're like, that was great. I'm into that. I'm into this. You're going to do it anyway.
Okay.
Dorian Finney-Smith is not on this top 100.
Whew.
And they forgot about him. Like, ESPN must have just completely forgot about Dorian Finney-Smith if he's not on this list, because he was more impactful in the playoffs and in the regular season than all of these players. Like, I'm gonna throw out a list of players that were ranked, and he's more impactful than all of them because he played 40 minutes a game in the playoffs, guarded the best player, guarded multiple positions, was one of the best players as far as defending in isolation throughout the season and in the playoffs. Just an incredible impact on a player. And yes, he can't create his own shot. He can do a couple things off the dribble, right? Like he can maybe like drive off of a closeout. We've seen that last year. But he can hit a spot up three really well and does his job. In the NBA, you need these spot up like 3-point shooters and 3-and-D wings. Everyone needs that position. And you know why? Because they're super valuable. And they're super valuable on a court. Are you ready for this, Isaac? These are the players that ESPN has ranked above Dorian Finney-Smith. He's not on the list, so I don't even know if they have him at 101. They could have him like much lower. Like there's 450 players in the NBA. All right. Bogdan Bogdanovic is number 100. I'm taking Dorian ahead of him, but that's a weird ranking for him.
I was gonna say, are we about to do this with every player because it's gonna be a long list?
I got like a good group here.
Okay.
Grant Williams, Mitchell Robinson, Kevin Love, Seth Curry, Keegan Murray the rookie, Brandon Clark, D'Angelo Russell, Christian Woods at 92, Anthony Simons, Buddy Hield, Mike Conley at 89. I'm taking Dorian Finney-Smith ahead of Mike Conley in whatever
Zach
list
Lowe
you're
would take
doing.
him over Dinwiddie.
Jordan Clarkson, Karis LeVert. Karis LeVert's at 80. I don't know if there's a world I'm taking Karis LeVert over Dorian Finney-Smith if I'm trying to build like a really good playoff basketball team. And Karis LeVert is at 80, and Dorian Finney-Smith is not on the list at all. Coming in hot today. I'm ready. I took a day off.
You are ready for this. You are ready for this. Here's the thing. When I started looking at it, it's like, on paper, I get why they put Karis LeVert over him because it's like, hey, Karis LeVert can create his own shot. They're valuing
No,
that.
that's it though.
I know. I would take Dorian over him, but like I kind of get it. I'm like, all right, whatever. There's some of these I just don't get. Like I wrote down, where should Dorian be? That's one of the questions. And it's like, all right, if Dorian should be in here, where should he be? And I just wrote down in the 80s. I think he should be in the 80s in this. And because like a lot of these people in the 90s, like how Brandon Clark is on this list and not Dorian Finney-Smith.
How Kevin Love is on this list and Dorian's not makes no sense to me. None.
And even a guy like Seth Curry, like I started asking myself.
At least Seth Curry starts.
Yeah, true. And I started asking myself the question of like, would Brooklyn right now do Seth for Dorian straight up? Yes, they would. 100%.
Right.
Because Seth is basically a 3-and-D guy for him. So like Dorian's going to, and one of the things that's hard about this list is like when you get in the different positions and all that. So then I start looking at, okay, who's some other like 3-and-D guys on
but not
this
that
list?
hard.
Yeah, but like I just started looking at other like 3-and-D guys on the list, and it's like you look at how high Mikal Bridges is on this list, which is we like him a lot.
Where did they have him?
He's I don't know. I didn't write down that.
Old. 49.
Okay, but like you look at a guy like Dylan Brooks, like okay, he's at 77. He can create his own shot a little bit more. So like you see that, but like
I'm not saying he's a top 50 or like I'm not saying he's a top like 30 player in the NBA. He's a top 100 player in the NBA.
He is a top 100 player in the NBA. And how somebody like Kevin Love, even Mike Conley.
No.
I mean, Keegan Murray could prove it wrong, but like he hasn't even played an NBA game.
You're projecting on that one. Like I understand that one more, but the other ones, here's a couple wings that are ahead of him. Like OG is at 75. Okay. You can.
Yeah, I get that.
You can talk.
Yeah.
Harrison Barnes is at 74. I'm pausing at that one. First of all, I would have OG ahead of Harrison Barnes, but I would take I would take Dorian over Harrison Barnes. And guess who else did that? The Dallas Mavericks.
Well,
here's one I don't get. And I tweeted about this today, and I got a ton of response about it.
I saw this, and I was dumbfounded by how high this guy was.
Tobias Harris is 56 on this list, and Dorian Finney-Smith is not on this list. Now, am I saying that Tobias Harris that Dorian is a better player than Tobias Harris? Not necessarily. Depends what you want. But if I'm trying to build a team, I'm building my team with Dorian and not Tobias Harris, especially as like my, if I'm going to have him as my fourth option on like he is on the Sixers, or like the third option or my second option on a team. Like I would rather have a guy like Dorian, because you want these top 30 guys to be your 1-2 option. But the Dorian is not ranked, and Tobias Harris is 56. They're not 56 spots like difference between those two players. I don't understand that. You want to know? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, we could have the same conversation with Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, he's at 45?
He's at 65.
65.
You telling me right now the Lakers would rather have Russ than Dorian Finney-Smith? That ain't happening.
Oof. That's when it gets hard to compare positions and stuff. Here's a sneaky one. You ready for this? I don't know if the world is ready for this. And no one sent this to Cyrus Satsas.
Oh, no.
They have Klay Thompson at 37. Is Klay Thompson going into next year? Am I like 100% sure that Klay Thompson is 63 spots more impactful than Dorian Finney-Smith? I'm not saying that Dorian should be ahead of Klay, but the fact that Klay is at 37 and Dorian is not on the list is like, I don't understand what you're making this list about.
I don't know. Clay's
that he's 37 and Dorian's not. This is what I'm saying. Like, if that's how they're valuing that type of position, the 3 and D can defend, hit a really good 3. Clay's obviously a great player. Like, Clay's top 50 for me for sure, right? For sure. But he's at 37. Dorian's not ranked. Like, that's where the disconnect comes for me.
Yeah, Dorian Finney-Smith should be on this list 100%. He should probably be in the 80s, maybe the 70s. But there's no scenario in which Dorian should be left off this list.
Coming up, let's get into Christian Wood because he's on this list as well. And he is lower on this list, but he did make the list. Where could he end up by the end of the season? And which bigs are ahead of him? Because there's a couple of them that I'm a little wary about on this one too. We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about BetOnline. Ooh, look at that fancy graphic on the screen. Look at that. Find all the latest odds, news, and scores. You go watch on YouTube, see what we got going on. We're like a real company over here. All right. BetOnline is the best place to check out the odds and lines everywhere, inside and outside of sports. Ooh, your Baltimore Ravens took a hit last week.
Why do you have to do this? Why do you have to go into this? Do you really want to talk about the Cowboys? Cooper Rush beating you?
This week. Hey, good job for the Cowboys, I guess. This week, Baltimore Ravens against New England Patriots on Sunday. What's the line? Do you know? Or the spread? The spread.
I'm going to say Baltimore 1.5.
3 points. Baltimore's favored by 3 points on that one.
Okay.
The Dallas Cowboys of Arlington, Dallas, are against the Washington Commanders. Dallas is at home.
No, they're not. They're in New York.
Oh, no, I looked way too far ahead.
Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football. Yeah, right. They play on Mavs Media Day. They play away at New York. What's the line there? The Giants.
Yeah, I think the Giants are favored by 3.
2.5 the Giants are favored by.
Oh,
excellent work there. I guess the lines there. That's all the Bill Simmons listening that you've done over the years. You can go check out NFL lines. They have future NBA lines as well. All kinds of stuff. Go check it out. It's BetOnline. It's where the game starts. All right, Isaac Harris. We're continuing to talk about ESPN's top 100 list. Dorian Finney-Smith did not make it egregiously. But we have our own list going over on at Locked On NBA. I'm editing the episode as we speak right now for the next group. It's the top 50 most valuable players from BetOnline. It's the one that the odds makers, so we just talked about BetOnline, the odds makers think move the lines the most. So go check it out. It's on Locked On NBA on their YouTube channel, wherever you get your podcast. All right, let's continue. I got another beef. Christian Wood's at 90. This one's not really a beef. This one's a question. This is a big question. Christian Wood came in at 92.
Okay.
I kind of get it. I'm with it. I'm glad that he was on the list. Here's some players ahead of him that I don't kind of get. Buddy Hield, Mike Conley, Malcolm Brogdon, Jordan Clarkson. I'm questioning those, but those players got some big questions ahead of them this season too.
I'm not questioning the Clarkson one because in a way, Christian Wood's kind of like the 6'10 Clarkson. So I'm not questioning that one. I'm questioning the Mike Conley one. I think. Do you have the other bigs ahead of him? Let's look at those. Here's
all the bigs ahead of Christian Wood. Now, this is my question about Christian Wood going into this list is at the end of the season, if everything goes well, which we hope it does, he's saying all the right things. The Mavs are saying, hey, we can figure this out. He's playing with Luka. He's going to do incredible stuff with him, we hope. At the end of the season, where does he land if everybody else stays the same spot? Here we go. Christian Wood's at 92. Nurkic is at 88. 86. Our old friend, Kristaps Porzingis. KP ahead of Christian Wood is an interesting spot here. 84, Jonas Valanciunas. 79, Clint Capella. 73, John Collins. 71, Julius Randle. 70, Al Horford. 60,
Horford had a big season, though.
Yeah, he had big playoffs. 66, Miles Turner. 58, Robert Williams. That's super high. That's so high for Robert Williams. But and then 57, Nikola Vucevic.
Okay.
I think there's a scenario. Best case, everything great happens. We're going completely like best case scenario. I think he breaks into the 50s. If with all these other players. Best season he could have, I think he breaks into the 50s. I think he could be up there with Robert Williams and Vucevic. The bigs above that are Jaren Jackson Jr. at 53, Jared Allen at 52, 51 DeAndre Ayton, 47 Sabonis. Like I don't know if he's breaking that, even like best case scenario for a season. But all the bigs behind him, all the bigs right there from like 80s to the like late 50s. I think that if best case scenario, he can break into that spot.
Yeah. That's everything hitting right.
That's why I said.
I mean, that's literally everything, career year, everything hitting. For him to enter the category of Jared Allen, Jaren Jackson Jr., DeAndre Ayton.
I think that's he won't. I don't know if he'll break that. Those guys are too good. Like you're talking about. But those are all-star players.
But could he get into the Miles Turner, Robert Williams, Vooch? Yeah, like late 50s, 60s range.
What Julius Randle was last year, like Christian Wood will have he will have a better season than what Julius Randle did last year. I'm just going to call that.
Yeah, but Julius Randle didn't have a good year though.
That's what I'm saying. If he does it again, he had one All NBA year, and then he had sandwiched between two bad years. Like,
see, I'm looking at a guy like John Collins and saying, yeah, can Christian Wood be that? Like, pick and roll guy, shoot some threes. Neither one of them's known too much for their defense.
They rebound.
Yeah. Can you be that type of guy? Like I would take Christian Wood over Clint Capella. I mean, I'm just not as high on Clint Capella, but
Capella's defense to me brings a lot,
but they're also in a weird way. Like they're two different type of dudes too. Like Capella's the defensive, rim roller, pick and roll guy and catching lobs, or Christian was more of the KP type.
What I think hurt him on this list. Now, you listening, if you're high on Christian Wood, and a lot of you are, you hear Nurkic, Porzingis, and Valanciunas ahead of Christian Wood, and you're like, what are we talking about? Like, what is this? What I think hurt him is he's coming off the bench. All these other guys are starters, right? Yeah. They're all starting on their teams, and Christian Wood's going to start the season coming off the bench. And I've broken down my little reasoning that Jason Kidd I think has for bringing Christian Wood off the bench. That he needs to give him benchmarks and talk about, all right, we got to play some defense, and then we can start you. Play some defense, and then you can be in the closing lineups, things like that. But starting the season off the bench with a prove-it season for the Mavericks, ESPN put him a little lower, and I kind of get it, but I think if he has a good season, he's like flying up this list next year.
Okay, so are we the opposite when it comes to, are you in Christian Wood reaches top 50 camp, and I'm in Dinwiddie reaches top 50 camp?
Interesting. So Dinwiddie, I had him for the third segment, but we can get into him a little bit.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about him because I have some other thoughts on the list. And
all right, so
actually, before I even looked at the list, I made my own top 25 list to see if I would have any differences.
Oh yeah,
and I had one difference.
Oh, interesting.
I had DeRozan in the top 25, and they have Anthony Edwards. But anyway,
wow, interesting. And this is all going into next season too. So
yeah, and they're dropping the next categories. It's 25 to 11s coming out on Wednesday as you're listening to this, and then 10 through 5, and then the whatever. But.
So coming up, let's talk about Spencer Dinwiddie, and then we'll compare him to Christian Wood and how high these guys can go next season if they have the best season. Because I think you're higher on Dinwiddie going into the season. I'm higher on Christian Wood than you for sure going into the season. So we'll talk about that coming up. All right, Isaac, we're continuing to talk about ESPN's Top 100. Dorian egregiously down on the list. Christian Wood's at 92. Spencer Dinwiddie
is that
coming in at 69.
Nice.
We just gotta let that one sit for a second. Dinwiddie ranked at 69 on ESPN's Top 100 list. I thought when I first saw that, I said, that seems a little high to me. And then I started to go through it. And I think this is the one I agree with the most of the Mavericks. This is totally spot on for me because here are the guards behind him. So Dinwiddie's at 69. The next guard, you have to go all the way to 78. Nice. It's a big gap. There's a 9-player, a 10-player gap between that. And it's Lonzo Ball at 78. 81 is Josh Giddey. 85 is Clarkson. 87 is Brogdon. 89 is Mike Conley. 90 is Buddy Hield. After that, he's better than all those. He's going to be better and more impactful than all those players.
Yeah.
Lonzo at his best, you could talk me into, but he's not going to be healthy to start the season, and he hasn't been healthy the last couple of years, and there's some big questions there.
Who's at 67?
Here are the guards ahead of him. Now, this is interesting, right? Now, you want to talk about some drama. Like 67 is Jalen Brunson. I just heard someone in their car go, "Can we stop talking about Jalen Brunson already?" Like
it's 66 is Goran Dragic.
No,
and
he's not. But Jalen Brunson's at 67. Do you agree with Brunson being just 2 spots ahead of Dinwiddie?
Yeah, I think it's about even. I think it's a good ranking through there. I think
after what we saw in the playoffs,
you think Brunson should be higher?
I think he's definitely higher than Dinwiddie, but it's only at 67 and Dinwiddie at 69.
See, I think Dinwiddie's gonna. I mean, I've said this. I've been all about
You've
this.
Been in on it. You've been.
Dinwiddie's gonna have a monster year, and I think he's gonna be a top 50 player by the end of the season. And a guy that I'm looking at is saying CJ McCollum's at 45. Can he be viewed around the same like category CJ McCollum as that prolific, consistent of a scorer in the backcourt like CJ is viewed, and he cracks the top 50? I think he does.
So here are the guards between Dinwiddie at 69 and CJ McCollum at 45. That's about 20 spots or so. Brunson at 67, Westbrook at 65.
Please.
Jalen Green at 62. 61 is Tyler Hero. 60 is Lowry. 59 is Tyrese Halliburton. There's a good.
I would take him over Kyle Lowry right now.
There's a good four guard run right there. Jordan Poole's at 55.
Did you say foreskin?
What did I just say? A four guard run.
Sorry, I was reading scripture earlier.
And Moses threw his foreskin on the ground. It's not a verse.
All right, keep going. Sorry.
This is the spectrum you get on this podcast. Last week we were sharing about our faith, and like
we're still sharing about our faith.
We were sharing straight from the heart, and here we are sharing straight from the lower than that. Tyrese Halliburton at 59, Jordan Poole at 55, De'Aaron Fox at 54. De'Aaron Fox and Dinwiddie are really interesting because they're kind of similar players in ways. Jamal Murray at 50, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 48, Darius Garland at 46. Those 3 guards, it'll be hard for me to say that Dinwiddie is better than those guys.
I think those guys should be higher. Like, I don't understand how Tyrese Maxey's over those guys.
Yeah, Tyrese Maxey. So Darius Garland at 46, CJ McCollum at 45, and then Tyrese Maxey at 44.
Like, how I was writing down just general takeaways from this list, and I wrote DeJounte Murray and Tyrese Maxey's too high.
Where was DeJounte? He's not even.
He's higher than that. And I'm like, what is, like, has Murray won something that
DeJounte's at 42?
Unaware of? That has he played like winning basketball that I just don't know about?
I mean, he's one of the. I mean, he's a Westbrook type where he's putting up a bunch of numbers. He's putting up, like, what did he put up last year? Like 29 and 9, like just really, really good stats. But the San Antonio team he played on was not very good. I mean, we've seen Dennis Smith Jr. put up
29 points.
29 and 9.
Oh, okay. 21
points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, if you want to be specific. But like, I mean, we've seen Dennis Smith Jr. put up really good numbers on a Mavericks team that wasn't trying to win, and then go and not be able to crack a rotation in Detroit or in New York after that. So, like, some of these numbers on teams, we gotta wait and see what they look like in a winning situation, which is your whole point about Christian Wood. It goes the same for DeJounte Murray on that level too.
Yeah, and people are higher on Murray Trey backcourt than I am. I'm not as like, I don't think it guarantees them a playoff spot in the East, but I just think Tyrese Maxey's a little high on this list when it comes to like him being 44 and like a guy like Darius Garland's below Tyrese Maxey. What? He was an all-star last year. Even a guy like SGA, I love SGA. So I think those guys should be a little higher. But I think when it's said and done, Dinwiddie's going to have a monster enough year to where we're talking about him in this, like, CJ McCollum type of conversation of, oh, you're a really good scoring guard in this league. And Because right now, I don't think they're considered in the same ballpark by a majority of people.
Well, I mean, ESPN thinks they're 20 spots different. So,
yeah.
What other thoughts do you have on this list?
There's some one. The fall of Kyrie Irving is so fascinating to me that, he's at what, 33. Just that, I mean, a couple years ago, he's a top 15, top 20 guy.
Last year he was ranked 20 on their list.
Well, contrasting that, Andrew Wiggins, the rise of Wiggins, like, I mean, I love seeing a guy. I love seeing his stories and stuff, like a story like that. And Wiggins just rising up this last year. Wiggins was at 77 and, he's up at 32 on this list. So, so I think that was really cool. But yeah, like I said earlier, I wrote down my top 25 and I was off by the one of I had DeRozan instead of Anthony Edwards. Question for you is, so they're going to announce 25 to 11.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be 10 through 6 and then a top 5. Where's Luka at on their list?
If he's not in the top 5, we riot.
Okay. So do you have the same top 5 as I do?
Luka Doncic, Luka Doncic.
I would have, in whatever order, Luka, Giannis, Jokic, Embiid, KD. I think that's
no Steph. I have Steph instead of Embiid.
Yeah, throw Embiid out of there. You got to win the playoffs, brother.
Then my next 5 is Embiid, Tatum, Kawhi, LeBron, and Booker.
Oh, I'm proud of you for having LeBron in the top 10.
It was tough, but it's
big.
ESPN.
That's big for you.
It's ESPN, all right? It's ESPN.
No, if ESPN, LeBron's going to be in the top 4.
If LeBron's in the top 5, I might ride. I might.
Where are we meeting? Pluckers? Or we meeting?
I mean, and the guy that was tough for me to leave out was Ja as like not a top 10 guy. But somebody has to be left off between Booker and Ja, and I think they'll go with Booker. But because then that next group's like Ja, Paul George, AD, Chris Paul. But do you think Edwards should be above DeMar DeRozan?
Going into this year, I could see DeMar DeRozan fall off a little bit, and I could see Anthony Edwards. I do think Anthony Edwards is going to rise this season.
Because even DeRozan wasn't the last one. I think 26 was Drew Holiday, 27 was Zach LaVine, 27 was DeRozan, I think. But just at the beginning of, gosh, I feel like the first month of last season, people were like, "Oh, DeRozan MVP,
top 10." Yeah, he was like top 10 player. He waffles. But the thing about him, and we did this when we talked about a possibility of him coming on the Mavericks, is that, all right, you give him a great regular season, and then what can you do in the playoffs? Because when it comes down to it, you got to hit those mid-rangers, and they get tough. They get tough in the playoffs, and you got to play defense, and he does not do that.
Yeah. Question for you, kind of going back to our 2K conversation of ratings, but what does it say to you that we're going to have a difference or a gap between...
I thought you were going to ask me about The Little Mermaid.
No. I can't wait for that movie, by the way.
What does it mean that we have a different...
a gap of like 4 to 69 between Luka to the next Mavs.
It confirms everything we've been saying for years. And I mean, if they kept Porzingis, he was at 86. Like, it was,
there won't be a bigger gap than that, right? Like, Jamal Murray's at what, 50? Somewhere through there. There's not going to be a bigger gap than that, I don't think. I mean, like you got LeBron, AD, you got Giannis to Drew Holiday. Drew's at 26.
The 2 Clippers guys. You have the. We've gone through the teams. I went through this when we were looking at the BetOnline list from Unlocked in NBA and thinking where Luka is. Luka's in the top 5 for sure on that list. And I was like
Klay and them's in the 30s. I mean, Harden's going to be somewhere in the 20s probably. Like, there's just not going to be that big of a drop off. I mean, I guess Jaw to what? Jaren Jackson?
Jaren Jackson's at where is he? He's at 53 though. I mean,
yeah,
that's not going to be a big. Is there another wizard on this list? Is it Bradley Beal to Kristaps? What's that one?
Ooh, I mean, Bill will probably be in the 20s, right?
Yeah, and Porzingis is at 86, so that's probably going to be the biggest one.
20s to 80s. I mean, it's probably going to be that and Luka's.
No, Luka's will be bigger because Luka will be like 5 to 69. Such a big gap.
That's 64 spot. Anyway, shout out to ESPN. Thanks for the content. What do you think about the young guys? Cade, Mobley, Scotty Barnes.
I was gonna say, Cade is at Cade in the next. Who's the next Piston? Cade's at 35.
No, there is no Piston.
So 35 to past 100 for Sadiq Bey or whoever.
Yeah, I guess that's 7.
Jaden Ivey.
Is Franz on this list at all?
I didn't see him.
Did Orlando have a guy on this list?
Yeah, your boy Paolo. 82. He's a guy.
You know you suck whenever you're one player on the list is in the 80s.
Yeah, it's not going to be a good year for Richard Stayman and his Orlando Magic or Philip Rossman-Reich. They know they know what they're all about.
I would take Franz over some of those dudes in the 90s.
Yeah, like I don't get the Kevin Love on this list at all. There's a bunch of other players I've taken instead of Kevin Love. Mike Conley at 89 doesn't lag after what we just saw in the playoffs.
I think this confirms that I think ESPN didn't watch the Jazz in the playoffs. Just ESPN as a whole.
Or they're not putting as much stock into those 6 games as we do.
Okay. I guess he was just toast for those games.
I guess the regular season matters more than the playoff season.
I can't speak too much about Mike Conley because he could be a Mavs suit, so I don't.
I'd welcome that, and I would be like, Mike Conley, I don't think are a top 100 player, but we will help the Mavericks.
So we talked about Conley on Media Day.
Get ready for Media Day again.
Stay tuned for Media Day.
Stay tuned. Subscribe, share it with everybody. Like Isaac said, guys, thanks for making us your first listen every day. We'll be back on Friday breaking down more Dallas Maverick stuff. We'll probably do like what are our biggest questions going into Media Day? What are the big things? So let us know in the comment section. What are your big questions going into Media Day? If you could ask a Mavericks player anything, let us know. Before that, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Giannis. Which NBA player moves the betting lines the most this season? Locked On and BetOnline odds makers present the NBA Top 50 most valuable players starting on September 19th. Find it on Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
So,
boom!